Greetings, esteemed judges and fellow dreamers. Welcome to the trial of the century. I am Lifia Kumar from Kuala Selangor Science School process called BEA 3083. Today, I present to you The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ.Klune. Published by Tor Publications in 2020, this 400-page novel not only won readers' hearts, but also won the 2021 Allies Award, the 2021 Rusa Reading List Fantasy Award, and the 2021 Martha Poet Fantasy Award for Adult Literature. For over 1 million copies sold worldwide, this novel has traveled across the world. It may seem like a simple fantasy at first glance, but in reality, it's not just about magic. It's not just about unusual children, and definitely it's not just about a random orphanage by the sea. Instead, this is a story about fear, about prejudice, about loneliness, about what would happen when kindness dares to challenge all three. If I were to describe this book in one sentence, I would say The House in the Cerulean Sea is about how kindness can stand against fear and win, and that is what makes this book unforgettable. The story follows Dennis Baker, a quiet, rule-loving caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth. Dennis is the type of guy who lives his life carefully. His life is so gray and painfully predictable. He trusts orders, he believes regulations, he follows the system so faithfully that he hardly notices how empty his life has become. Until one day, he is sent to Mars's Island. Yes, even the island name sounds mysterious. Mars's Island is the type of place that people fear before understanding it. It is isolated, secretive, and home to children the government labels as dangerously extraordinary. Dennis arrives there expecting threats, reports, risks, and reasons to be alarmed. But instead, he finds wonder. He finds Arthur Parnassus, the master of the orphanage, gentle, intelligent, and fiercely protective. He finds Talia, a tiny garden gnome. He finds Theodore, a shy wyvern who charges buttons like gold. He, a wild and quiet forest sprite. Sal, a Pomeranian shifting boy. Chauncey, a curious, tentacle-like creature who dreams of becoming a bellhop. And finally Lucy, who turns out not to be a symbol of terror, but instead a child in the need of love. And that is when this story turns extraordinary, because the longer Dennis stays on that island, the more he realizes something deeply uncomfortable. The real danger was never these children. The real danger was the world that feared them before understanding them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is like a mirror that deeply reflects how fear can shape the way we see others. That is the brilliance of this novel. It gives us magical creatures, but the true message is painfully realistic. These children are feared because they are different. They are controlled because they were misunderstood. They are labeled before they are loved. And how often does that happen in real life? How often do we judge other people before hearing their story? How often do we fear difference because it just doesn't seem familiar? And how often do the rules become an excuse for cruelty? That, ladies and gentlemen, is a mirror that we cannot ignore. That is why this book feels so warm, yet hits so hard. Yes, it is funny. Yes, it is comforting. Yes, it feels like sunlight on water. But underneath that tenderness is a powerful challenge. This story reminds us that prejudice does not always arise loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly. Sometimes it hides behind procedures, systems, routines, and people who say, "I'm just doing my job." Dennis himself represents this truth. He is not evil, he is not cruel, but he is simply obedient. But this story reminds us that obedience without compassion can still become injustice. The most important theme in this book is acceptance. Not shallow acceptance, not performative acceptance, but real acceptance. The kind that demands courage, humility, and the willingness to unlearn what has been taught. The second most strongest theme is home. This story reminds us that home is not merely a building. It's not where society places you. And it's not a place where you sleep at night. Home is a place where you are safe enough to be fully yourself. A place where you are seen without apology, welcome without fear, and loved without conditions. That is why I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Because its characters stay with you, because its message matters, and because its writing is warm, thoughtful, and deeply human. And because it does something rare. It comforts you while asking you to become better. I think that's all from me today. Thank you very much. So I'll leave you with this. Linus Baker went to Marsy's Island to ask whether these children were dangerous. But by the end of the story, the real questions was no longer about them. They were about us. Home is a place where you feel like yourself. And I'll ask you, when you look into that mirror, how many people truly have that? And how many have we denied it?